The most expensive thing you own, time, tick, tick, tick. Every second that passes is gone forever. You can't buy it back, you can't rewind it, and yet, most people spend it as if it were infinite. Imagine this. You wake up one day and discover that every hour of your life had a price tag. Each minute, a coin. Each second, a drop of gold slipping through your fingers. Would you still waste it scrolling endlessly, waiting for some day to arrive? Here's the truth. Time is the currency of life, and those who learn to invest it become wealthy beyond measure. Not just in money, but in freedom, purpose, and peace. This audiobook isn't about time management. It's about life management. It's about reclaiming the one thing you can never replace, your time. Because when you master your time, you master your destiny. Welcome to Time is Money, Don't Waste It. Your transformation begins now. Chapter 1, The Hidden Currency. What if I told you that you were born a millionaire? Not in dollars, not in gold, but in something far more valuable, time. From the moment you took your first breath, you were given a fortune. 24 hours a day, 1,440 minutes, 86,400 seconds, all deposited into your account every morning. And yet, most people spend it as if the balance will never run out. They trade hours for distractions. They gamble minutes on meaningless habits. They give away their seconds to people, screens, and worries that add nothing to their lives. And one day they wake up and realize the vault is empty. Time is the hidden currency of life. It's invisible, silent, and yet it determines everything. Every dream, every achievement, every ounce of wealth or success. It all begins with how you spend your time. But here's the irony. When people think of wealth, they think of money. They measure their worth in salaries and savings, in possessions and titles. Yet money can be lost and found again. Time cannot. Once it's gone, it never returns. Let that sink in for a moment. You can recover from failure. You can rebuild what was broken. But you cannot relive a single yesterday. This chapter is about awakening to that truth, that time is your first and your greatest form of wealth. Because until you understand its value, you'll always feel poor no matter how much money you make. When you really see time as currency, something begins to shift inside you. You start noticing where it goes. You start guarding it, budgeting it, investing it. You begin to treat your hours as sacred. Think about how carefully people protect their money. They lock it away in banks, track it through apps, study how to make it grow. But how many protect their hours with the same intensity? How many of us track where our minutes go? We check our bank balance more often than we check the balance of our day. And yet, time is the true measure of freedom. Because money without time is nothing. What good is wealth if you're too exhausted to enjoy it? What good is success if you never have a moment to breathe? The truly rich understand this. They know that the goal isn't to work endlessly, but to buy back their time, to create freedom. Freedom to think, to feel, to live deliberate. But most of us never see time this way. We chase what sparkles and ignore what flows silently through our hands. We tell ourselves, one day I'll slow down, one day I'll focus, one day I'll start living. And while we wait for that mythical someday, life keeps moving. The days stack up like unspent coins, moments turn into months, dreams turn into regrets. You see, the tragedy isn't that life is short, it's that we waste so much of it. We waste it comparing ourselves to others. We waste it chasing validation. We waste it postponing what matters most. Time doesn't shout, it whispers. It asks quietly, "What will you do with me today?" And most people, without realizing it, answer, "Nothing special." But you're here because something inside you knows that can't continue. You felt it, that subtle ache when you lose another day to routine. That restlessness that tells you there's more to life than busy schedules and endless scrolling. That voice that whispers, "You were made for more than this." And that voice is right. The first step to building true wealth isn't earning more money, it's spending your time with purpose. Because when you align your hours with your values, your entire world changes. Think about it this way. Every moment you live is an investment. You're either earning interest in your growth, or you're going into debt with your distractions. There is no neutral. Every choice compounds like financial interest into a life of wealth or a life of waste. Maybe you're listening right now and thinking, I've already wasted so much time. Don't let that thought defeat you. The past is gone, but today is untouched, and today is more powerful than you think. You can start over at any moment, this very second, by choosing to spend your time differently. From this day forward, start treating your hours as if they were cash, because they are. Time is the money of your soul. You can spend it recklessly, or you can invest it in something meaningful. Ask yourself, where is my time going? Who or what is getting the best of it? Does how I spend my day reflect the life I say I want? Those questions are uncomfortable, but they're necessary, because awareness is the beginning of freedom. You might think you don't have time to chase your dreams, but maybe it's not that you don't have time, maybe it's that your time is being stolen. Stolen by distractions, by habits that numb instead of nourish, by fear disguised as busyness. If you truly knew the price of a wasted hour, you'd guard it like a treasure, because every hour you waste today is an hour you'll wish for tomorrow. This isn't about guilt, it's about awakening. It's about realizing that time is the raw material of your destiny. What you build from it, that's your masterpiece. Imagine for a moment your future self, the one who used their time wisely, the one who turned every minute into progress, into skill, into freedom. How would that version of you live? What would they say to you now? They would tell you that time is wealth in motion. They would tell you that every second you spend with purpose multiplies your life. And they would remind you that the richest people on earth aren't the ones who have the most money, they're the ones who use their time to create meaning. The clock is still ticking. The question is, are you letting it drain you, or are you letting it drive you? This chapter, this moment, is your wake-up call, to see time for what it truly is, not a resource to spend endlessly, but a treasure to invest intentionally. Because when you understand that time is the hidden currency, you stop living reactively and start living deliberate. You stop chasing what fades and start building what lasts. And that awareness, that single shift in how you value your hours, is the beginning of wealth. You've just opened your eyes to the most powerful truth of all. You already possess everything you need to build the life you want. It's not waiting for you somewhere in the future. It's right here in the seconds passing between each heartbeat. How you spend them will determine everything that follows. In the next chapter, we'll uncover the greatest thief of this currency, the silent force that robs your time without you even noticing. And once you see it clearly, you'll never let it steal from you again. Chapter 2. The thief you invite in. Have you ever looked up from your phone and realized an hour had vanished? Not drifted, not passed quietly, vanished. You blinked and it was gone, swallowed by something small, something invisible, something that didn't even matter. That's the thief, the one most people never see coming. The thief that doesn't break into your home, but slips quietly into your habits. It steals not your money, but something far more valuable, your attention. And when it's done, it leaves behind nothing but fatigue, regret, and the hollow echo of "I'll do it tomorrow." Distraction, that's its name, and it is the single greatest enemy of wealth, progress, and peace. You might not think of distraction as a thief, because it feels harmless. It looks like a quick check of your messages, a small break before you start, a little time to unwind, but those little moments are currency, pieces of your life, and they're being spent without your permission. Every time you surrender to distraction, you're trading your future for comfort, you're exchanging your dreams for dopamine, and the worst part, you don't even notice it's happening. The world is built to steal your focus. Every notification is a tap on your shoulder. Every headline, every advertisement, every just one more episode, it's all designed to pull you away from yourself. Because attention is the most valuable commodity on earth, and everyone wants a piece of yours. Think about it. Companies don't sell products anymore, they sell distraction. They compete not for your dollars, but for your minutes, because your minutes are what make them rich. So the question becomes, if your attention is worth so much to them, why isn't it worth more to you? This is the truth most people never face. You are not just losing time to distraction, you are building someone else's dream while abandoning your own. That's the real cost, not the hour you lost today, but the potential you lose over a lifetime. The thief you invite in doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it comes dressed as entertainment, sometimes as busyness, sometimes as endless multitasking that feels productive but leaves you exhausted and unfulfilled. You might tell yourself you're just staying connected, but connection without intention becomes consumption, and consumption without purpose becomes emptiness. Your mind was built to create, to imagine, to solve, to grow, but when you fill every silent moment with noise, you rob yourself of that power. When was the last time you sat quietly, no phone, no music, no screen, and just thought? Most people can't remember, because silence feels uncomfortable, stillness feels unproductive, but in that stillness lives the clarity that distraction hides from you. We've become so used to being pulled in every direction that focus now feels like a luxury, but focus isn't a luxury, it's survival. Without it you drift, you react instead of create, you scroll instead of build, you live on autopilot, awake but not aware. And the saddest part is, the thief doesn't even need to work that hard. We leave the door wide open, we check our devices before we check in with ourselves. We start our mornings reacting to the world instead of shaping it. But here's what you need to know. You can take back your attention, you can protect your time, and when you do, everything changes. The first step is awareness, noticing when you've been pulled off course. You don't have to be perfect, you just have to be awake enough to see when your time is being stolen. The next step is boundary, real unapologetic boundaries. Not for other people, for your own mind. Start small. Decide that for 1 hour each day, your time belongs fully to you. No notifications, no distractions, no interruptions. Guard that hour like it's sacred, because it is. Then expand it. Protect your morning. Reclaim your evenings. Carve out space for focus, for creation, for stillness. You'll be shocked at how different life feels when your attention is your own. At first, you'll feel restless. You'll reach for your phone without thinking. You'll crave that next hit of noise. That's withdrawal. You've been addicted to distraction, and now you're learning to live without it. But stay with it, because what comes next is clarity, focus, peace. You start hearing your own thoughts again. You start remembering what matters. You start realizing how much power you actually have. The world moves fast, but you don't have to. You don't owe your attention to everything that demands it. You owe it to what gives your life meaning. Ask yourself, what would happen if you gave your best hours to what truly matters? If you replaced every wasted minute with one step toward your dream, how much wealth could you build? How much freedom could you create? Because the opposite of distraction isn't discipline, it's direction. When you know where you're going, focus becomes natural. When your vision is clear, you stop saying yes to what doesn't serve it. That's how you outsmart the thief. You don't fight it with willpower, you replace it with purpose. Imagine a life where your time is fully yours, where you wake up knowing what you'll build today, where your hours aren't scattered but spent intentionally, each one bringing you closer to the life you want. That life exists, but it begins with a choice to stop letting your attention be stolen, and to start spending it where it matters most. You can't buy time, but you can stop selling it cheap, and when you do, you begin to experience something most people never feel: ownership of your own life. The thief of distraction will always knock, but you don't have to answer. You can choose clarity over chaos. You can choose presence over noise. You can choose to invest your attention where it grows into something extraordinary. That is how you protect your most valuable asset. That is how you begin to build true wealth. Because once your focus is yours again, everything else, your time, your energy, your success begins to align naturally. And in the next chapter we'll explore exactly how that focus becomes power, the kind of power that transforms hours into progress, and minutes into mastery. Because when you learn to direct your attention like a beam of light, nothing in your path can stand untouched. Chapter 3. The Wealth of Focus. Close your eyes for a moment, and imagine this. You're standing in a wide open field, sunlight pouring over everything. In the distance, you can see a single seed. Tiny, fragile, ordinary. You could drop it anywhere, and it might grow, or it might not. But if you take that same seed and place it in rich soil, water it, protect it, nurture it, that same seed becomes a forest. Now imagine your time as that seed. Your focus is the soil, because without focus, your time produces nothing. But with it, your life can flourish into something extraordinary. Focus is the unseen force that turns scattered effort into achievement. It's the bridge between intention and impact. And yet, it's the one thing most people never master. We live in an age of endless noise, where everything is designed to pull your mind in 10 directions at once. It's not that you lack time, it's that your time is fragmented, broken into pieces, so small that nothing meaningful can grow. Focus is how you reclaim those pieces. It's how you take back ownership of your mind, your day, and your destiny. Think about the most successful, fulfilled, and purpose-driven people you know or have ever heard of. They all have one thing in common: they know how to focus, not for 5 minutes, not until it's convenient, but until the work is done, until the goal is reached, until the vision becomes real. Focus is the discipline of staying with what matters when everything else begs for your attention. But here's the truth most people avoid. Focus requires saying no. No to distractions, no to opportunities that don't align, no to the illusion that you can do everything and still do anything well. Focus demands boundaries, not as a punishment, but as protection, because when you say yes to everything, you dilute yourself into nothing. Picture a river. When it flows freely, it's powerful enough to shape landscapes, but spread it thin across a floodplain, and it loses all its force. Your focus works the same way. It's your personal river, capable of carving through mountains, if only you direct it with purpose. You don't need more hours in a day, you need more attention in your hours. Every time you switch tasks, every time you jump from one thing to another, you drain your mental energy. It's like trying to light a fire with sparks that never land. Focus is what allows the spark to catch, to grow, to burn bright enough to create change. There's a reason masters of every craft, artists, athletes, entrepreneurs, speak about flow. Flow is that rare state when time dissolves and everything feels aligned. You're not forcing effort, effort becomes you. That's focus at its highest form, and it's available to you not someday, not when life gets easier, but right now. But first, you have to clear the clutter, not just the physical clutter on your desk or the digital clutter on your screen, but the mental clutter, the noise of unfinished thoughts, the pull of unnecessary obligations, the pressure to always be on. You cannot focus deeply when your mind is crowded with half-open doors, so close them. Decide what truly deserves your energy and what doesn't. You can't go everywhere at once, but you can go somewhere with intention. Here's something powerful to remember: you will always pay for lack of focus. You'll pay with frustration, you'll pay with stagnation, you'll pay with wasted potential. But when you choose to focus, you begin to collect interest on every second you invest. Focus is a multiplier. It doesn't just add, it compounds. 1 hour of undistracted attention can accomplish more than 10 hours of scattered effort. That's not motivation, that's math. Most people think wealth is built through hustle, but wealth in any form is built through clarity, because focus creates momentum, and momentum creates results. Ask yourself this: where is my focus today? Not where it should be, not where I wish it was, but where it truly is. If your energy is divided, your results will always be divided. Maybe you've been chasing too many goals at once, hoping that more effort will fix the feeling of being stuck. But what if less effort, directed with purpose, is what you've been missing all along? Think of an archer. They don't fire wildly and hope to hit the target. They breathe, they align, they wait until the moment of complete focus, and then they release. That's precision. That's power. That's how focus feels when you live with intention. When you focus deeply, something shifts inside you. You stop feeling scattered and start feeling strong. You stop chasing outcomes and start building mastery. You begin to trust yourself again, because every hour spent in focus becomes proof that you are capable of discipline, of depth, of greatness. But focus isn't only about productivity, it's also about presence. When you focus on the person in front of you, your relationships deepen. When you focus on your breath, your stress fades. When you focus on gratitude, abundance grows. Focus is not just a tool for success, it's a pathway to peace. because to be fully focused is to be fully alive in the present moment. And maybe that's what most of us are searching for, not more things, but more presence in the things we already have. There's something incredibly liberating about choosing focus in a world addicted to distraction. It's like stepping out of the storm and realizing you can finally see the horizon again. Everything slows, everything sharpens, everything begins to make sense, and this is where real transformation begins. When you understand that every distraction you remove adds back hours, energy, and clarity. When you realize that focus isn't about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. Because your life will always follow the direction of your focus. Whatever you consistently give your attention to will expand. Give it to fear, and fear grows. Give it to purpose, and purpose flourishes. Focus is how you decide who you are becoming. So guard it, feed it, honor it, every day. Don't let your mind be a battlefield where distractions win by default. Let it be a cathedral, quiet, sacred, devoted to the creation of something meaningful. And when you learn to hold your focus, really hold it, you will discover a strength within yourself that cannot be shaken by chaos or noise. You'll move through your days with precision instead of panic. You'll create not just with effort, but with intention. That's the wealth of focus, not just the ability to achieve, but the ability to direct your life with clarity and calm. And once you master that, the world begins to open for you, because everything you desire already exists. It's just waiting for your focus to bring it into view. In the next chapter, we'll explore the most powerful moment you'll ever own, the one that exists right now, the moment where all change begins, and where your focus transforms from a tool into a force, the power of now, and how to live it fully. Chapter 4, The Power of Now. There's a clock ticking right now. You can't hear it, you can't see it, but it's there, beating quietly beneath every breath you take. And with each tick, a moment passes, one that will never return. Time doesn't shout, it whispers, and most people never hear it until it's too late. We spend so much of our lives waiting for the perfect moment, waiting for the right opportunity, waiting for motivation, clarity, or permission to begin. But the truth, the brutal, liberating truth, is that life doesn't wait. Time keeps moving, whether you do or not. The only real moment you ever own is now. Now, the word itself feels simple, but it's everything. It's the point where your past can no longer hold you, and your future begins to unfold. It's where action happens, where ideas take shape, where dreams stop being dreams and start becoming decisions. Most people live trapped in two invisible prisons, the regrets of yesterday and the worries of tomorrow. They replay what's already gone, or pre-live what hasn't even happened yet, and in doing so, they trade the power of now, the only place where life truly exists. If you think about it, all your achievements, all your growth, all your breakthroughs, they've always happened in a single moment of decision, a single moment of courage, a single moment of now. That's where everything changes. Not someday, not next month, not when things calm down. Now. You can't build wealth in the past, you can't create opportunity in the future, you can only act right here, right now, in this exact second of your existence. And yet, that's the one place most people avoid, because the present moment asks something from you. It demands awareness, it demands choice, it demands that you stop running from your own potential. Here's a truth few will tell you: the longer you wait to live fully, the harder it becomes to begin. Every delay builds momentum in the wrong direction, toward hesitation, toward stagnation, toward regret. But the moment you step into now, truly step into it, the weight of all that waiting starts to fall away. You feel lighter, clearer, more alive, because you've reconnected with the pulse of life itself. Think of the great innovators, creators, and visionaries throughout history. They didn't have more time than you. They simply refused to postpone their now. They used the same 24 hours everyone gets, but they infused those hours with intention, with urgency, with purpose. Time bends toward those who live fully in the present. It expands for those who focus on what they can do today, instead of worrying about what they can't control tomorrow. Imagine standing before two doors. One is labeled someday, the other no. Most people spend their lives pressing their hand against the someday door, dreaming of what's on the other side, while the now door stands wide open, waiting. Every success story you've ever admired began the moment someone walked through that open door. Now doesn't mean reckless. It means responsive. It means you see what's in front of you, and you act wisely, courageously, without delay. Because while waiting feels safe, it's an illusion. Waiting steals more dreams than failure ever could. Ask yourself, how many times have you said, "I'll start when I'm ready"? But here's the thing. Readiness is born in action, not before it. You become ready by doing. You become capable by trying. You become wise by starting, failing, learning and continuing now. If you want to change your life, you must make peace with immediacy. Because the person who acts now, even imperfectly, will always outgrow the one who waits for the perfect plan. Time rewards movement, not intention. Every small step you take today compounds into something bigger tomorrow. But those steps only exist in the present. If you waste today, you weaken tomorrow. If you own today, you multiply it. And here's the miracle of it. The moment you choose to live in the now, you also heal the past and shape the future. You stop being defined by what went wrong yesterday and start defining what goes right today. This is how wealth begins, not just financial wealth, but the wealth of time, clarity, and peace. When you fully inhabit the present, every second becomes an investment. Each breath, each decision, each act of courage compounds into a life that feels intentional, purposeful. Think of a musician mid-performance. They're not thinking about the mistakes they made in the first verse, or worrying about how the song will end. They're inside the music, right where life is happening. That's what mastery looks like. That's what living in the now feels like. You can't rewrite the past, but you can redeem it by acting differently today. You can't control the future, but you can shape it by how you show up right now. The future is simply the echo of today's choices. And so the question becomes simple, not easy, but simple. What are you doing with this moment? Are you living it, or are you letting it slip quietly through your fingers while you wait for a better one? Because the truth is, there is no better one. There is only this, and inside this one, there is infinite possibility. If you pause right now, even for a breath, you can feel it, the quiet hum of potential, the steady rhythm of time inviting you to participate in your own creation. It's always been there, waiting for you to notice. Now is not just a point in time, it's a state of power. It's where life meets awareness, where ideas meet action, where who you are meets who you're becoming. When you start living in the now, you stop chasing life and start leading it. You stop waiting for meaning and start making it. You stop fearing time and start mastering it. So if there's something you've been postponing, a decision, a dream, a change, bring it into the light of now. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Make this moment perfect by what you do with it. Because time isn't promised, but it is present, right here, right now, asking, what will you make of me today? That is the power of now, to realize that life doesn't happen someday. It's happening right here, in this breath, in this choice, in this heartbeat. Own this moment, and you own your life. Waste it, and you waste everything that could have been. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into the bridge between time and action, how habits transform your minutes into momentum, and how consistency turns fleeting moments into lasting wealth. Because mastering now is just the beginning. What you do with it, that's where real transformation begins. Chapter 5, The Compound Effect of Small Moments. It begins quietly. Not with grand gestures, not with life-changing breakthroughs, but with something far smaller, almost invisible. A single choice, a tiny act, a moment so simple you might dismiss it as meaningless. But time remembers everything. Every moment you invest with purpose, every decision you make with intention, becomes a seed planted in the soil of your future. And like all seeds, its growth is slow, silent, and unseen, until one day it's undeniable. You see, success, real, sustainable success, is never the product of a single spectacular leap. It's the quiet accumulation of consistent effort, the compound effect of small, smart choices repeated over time. The problem is, we're not wired to notice those small things. We're drawn to the dramatic, the immediate, the visible. We crave results that shout instead of whispers that build. But the truth is, time rewards the consistent far more than the intense. Think about it. 5 minutes of focused effort every day will change you more than 5 hours of scattered effort once a month. A single dollar invested regularly will grow faster than 1,000 wasted impulsively. A single habit, done daily, done faithfully, can reshape an entire destiny. The wealthiest people on earth understand this law. Not just financial wealth, but wealth in health, knowledge, relationships, and peace. They know that time is the most powerful multiplier in existence. When used with discipline, it compounds everything it touches. But when wasted, it compounds decay. Every missed opportunity, every moment spent in distraction, every "I'll do it later," they don't disappear. They build quietly in the background, like interest on a debt. And one day, you look up and realize you've paid years of your life to things that gave you nothing in return. It's easy to underestimate how the smallest habits shape the largest outcomes. A single hour of learning each day compounds into mastery. A single dollar saved each day compounds into freedom. A single act of kindness compounds into trust. A single apology compounds into peace. Small moments, when multiplied by time, become legacies. Let's make this real for a moment. Picture two people standing side by side. They both have 24 hours in their day. One spends a few minutes each morning in reflection, planning the day ahead. The other wakes up late and rushes into chaos. At first, the difference seems small, almost trivial. But stretch that difference over a year, and one life feels calm and intentional, while the other feels scattered and reactive. Stretch it over a decade, and one person leads with clarity and purpose, while the other constantly wonders where their time has gone. Tiny choices, multiplied by time, create massive divides. This is the hidden engine of wealth, success, and fulfillment, the quiet power of compounding moments. And it works both ways. You can compound growth, or you can compound regret. The choice is always yours. There's something beautiful about this truth. It means that even if you've wasted time in the past, even if you've fallen behind, you can start again right now in this very moment, and time will still work in your favor. Because time doesn't judge. It only measures. It multiplies whatever you feed it, consistency or chaos, focus or distraction, growth or decay. If you feed it good habits, it becomes your ally. If you feed it neglect, it becomes your warning. So ask yourself, what are you compounding right now? What do your daily actions say about the direction your life is silently moving toward? Because whether or not you realize it, the clock is compounding your choices every second. Most people underestimate what they can do in a year and overestimate what they can do in a day. They sprint, burn out, and give up, never realizing that consistency, not speed, is the true secret of achievement. Discipline is a form of respect for time. When you act with discipline, you're telling the universe, I value the seconds I've been given, and I intend to multiply them. And when you do that, when you stay faithful to the small, the big things begin to take care of themselves. It's like drops of water filling a glass. At first, it seems like nothing is happening, then one day it overflows. The overflow looks sudden, but it's not. It's the visible result of hundreds of invisible moments finally revealing their power. Every book you've ever admired was written one sentence at a time. Every fortune ever built was earned one decision at a time. Every strong relationship you've ever witnessed was deepened one act of care at a time. Every transformation begins the same way, with something small, something doable, something now. So don't dismiss the day of small beginnings. Don't underestimate the value of today's tiny victory, because time never forgets them. It adds them up quietly, faithfully, until one day, you wake up surrounded by the life those moments created. If you want to build wealth, build habits. If you want to own your future, own your minutes, because how you spend your minutes is how you spend your life. The person you become 5 years from now is already being shaped in this moment, by your patterns, your focus, your persistence, your now. There is extraordinary power in ordinary effort, as long as it's consistent. And the beauty of it all is that you don't need to overhaul your life overnight. You just need to begin one small intentional act at a time. Each one compounds, each one matters, each one moves you closer to freedom, to mastery, to wealth in every sense of the word. So as you listen to this, ask yourself, what's one small action I can take today that my future self will thank me for? One change that, when multiplied by time, could transform everything. The answer doesn't need to be big, it just needs to begin. Because success doesn't arrive in a moment, it's built through thousands of moments that matter, moments that you control, moments that start now. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to protect those moments, how to guard your time like treasure, to ensure that what you're building through consistency doesn't get stolen by distraction, urgency, or the noise of the world, because mastering the compound effect is only half the battle. The real challenge is keeping what you've built. Chapter 6. Guarding your time. The silent art of protection. Picture this. You're holding a handful of golden sand. It glitters warm in your palm, precious beyond measure. But as you stand there, distracted, someone walks by and casually brushes against your hand. A few grains slip away. Then another person takes a pinch without asking. Then another. And before you know it, your palm is empty, and you can't even remember who took it. That sand is your time, and the world is full of quiet thieves. Every day, without realizing it, you trade fragments of your life for noise, for unnecessary conversations, for endless scrolling, for obligations that don't serve your growth, and distractions that disguise themselves as important. But here's the truth most people never face. Your time is your most valuable possession, and everyone, everything, is trying to claim a piece of it. If you don't protect it, they will take it. It's not because people are malicious, it's because time is invisible, and that makes it easy to steal. No one can see it disappearing, so we give it away carelessly. A few minutes here, an hour there, as if it's something we can replenish later. But time doesn't refill, it runs out. To build wealth, real lasting wealth, you must become a guardian of your time. You must defend it with the same focus, intention, and discipline that you would guard a fortune locked in a vault. Because that's exactly what it is. Think of the most successful, fulfilled people you know. They don't have more time than you. They simply learn to say no. No to distractions disguised as opportunities. No to people who drain their energy. No to guilt, to comparison, to the endless pressure to do everything. They understand that protecting their time is not selfish. It's sacred, because when you protect your time, you protect your focus. And when you protect your focus, you protect your future. Here's the quiet truth about wealth. It's not only about what you gain, but what you no longer allow to be taken from you. Your time is your currency. Every commitment, every conversation, every decision, it's a transaction. And if you're not intentional about what you're buying with your hours, you'll wake up one day realizing you spent years paying for someone else's dream. So how do you begin to guard your time in a world that constantly demands it? Start by becoming aware of where it leaks. Most people never audit their time. They know where their money goes, but not where their hours vanish. Track a single day, really look at it. How many moments are spent with purpose, and how many are lost in distraction, obligation, or avoidance? Awareness is the first shield of protection. The second is boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they're gates. They decide what enters your world and what stays out. Without boundaries, you become available to everything and effective at nothing. If you constantly say yes to every request, you're saying no to your own priorities. If you're always accessible to others, you'll become invisible to yourself. Protecting your time begins with reclaiming your right to choose, to decide who and what deserves your attention. And remember, not every urgent thing is important. In fact, most of what feels urgent isn't. Emails, notifications, requests, they all scream for attention. But the things that truly build your future whisper. They're quiet. They require stillness, focus, consistency. Guard that quiet space like your life depends on it. Because it does. It's in those protected hours that ideas grow, that creativity unfolds, that wealth, in every form, begins to multiply. When you give your time to everything, you give your power to nothing. So learn the art of strategic neglect. Not everything deserves your energy. Not every battle deserves your fight. Some things are best left undone, unsaid, untouched. The difference between the overwhelmed and the effective isn't how much they do. It's how much they choose not to. And here's something profound to remember. Every no you give creates space for a deeper yes. When you protect your time, you create room for the things that actually matter. For your craft, your purpose, your health, your peace. Guarding your time is an act of love, for yourself, for your goals, for the people who truly deserve your best. Because when you're spread thin, the people you love don't get your best, they get your leftovers. And so does your future. You can't pour from an empty schedule, so take back control. Decide that your hours are sacred. Treat them as investments, not loose change. Spend them where they multiply, in learning, in building, in creating, in resting, in being fully present. And here's the beauty of this truth. Once you start protecting your time, you'll realize how little you truly need to do to move forward. It's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters, deeply, consistently, without distraction. Time, when guarded, becomes your ally. It slows down, it stretches. You begin to feel spacious, powerful, intentional. You start to notice that what once felt like chaos now feels like rhythm. You begin to lead your time, instead of chasing it. And that's when life begins to shift. That's when the noise fades and clarity rises. Because protecting your time doesn't just build wealth, it builds peace. And peace, my friend, is the highest form of wealth there. So ask yourself, what's stealing your time right now? What distractions, what people, what habits are quietly withdrawing from your life's account? And are you ready to change the locks? Because no one will guard your time for you. You must become the gatekeeper of your own destiny. Protect it, respect it, and use it to build a life that feels as valuable as the time it takes to live it. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to turn that protected time into power, how to channel your focus into purpose, and your purpose into result. Because guarding your time is just the beginning. The real art is learning how to use it to create something timeless. Chapter 7: The Power of Focus, Turning Hours into Impact. Imagine standing in a dark room with 1,000 flickering candles. Each flame dances, beautiful but scattered, lighting everything, yet illuminating nothing. Now picture taking all that fire, all that energy, and channeling it through a single beam, a focused ray of light, so sharp it could cut through steel. That's the difference between effort and focus. You see, most people aren't short on time. They're short on direction. They work hard, they stay busy, they chase everything. But because their energy is divided, their results are diluted. And in the end, they wonder why their progress feels like running in circles. Focus is how you turn motion into momentum. It's how you transform hours into impact. It's the invisible discipline that separates achievement from exhaustion and clarity from chaos. But here's the truth that most people avoid. Focus isn't something you find, it's something you choose. You choose it every morning when you decide what deserves your attention and what doesn't. You choose it every time you say no to distraction, no to noise, no to the endless tug of other people's priorities. Because your focus is a lens, and whatever you aim it at grows. The world will always tempt you with more opportunities, more obligations, more opinions. But real power lives in less, in the quiet, consistent narrowing of what truly matters. Think about the most powerful forces in nature. the river that carves a canyon, the sunbeam that ignites a flame, the wind that shapes the mountain. They all share one thing: direction. When your life has direction, your energy compounds. Every hour builds upon the last. You stop scattering yourself across 100 little things and start pouring yourself into the few that truly move the needle. That's when growth begins to accelerate, not because you're doing more, but because you're finally aligned. But alignment doesn't come by accident. It begins with clarity. Ask yourself, what am I building? Not in the vague sense, not a better life, or more success. What specifically are you trying to create? What vision pulls you forward, even when the path gets hard? Because if you can't see it clearly, you can't aim at it precisely. And focus without a target is just tension without purpose. Clarity gives focus its direction. Focus gives clarity its power. Now let's talk about something uncomfortable. Distraction isn't always obvious. It doesn't always look like procrastination or laziness. Sometimes distraction wears the disguise of productivity. It shows up as overplanning, multitasking, or chasing new ideas before finishing the ones you started. You tell yourself you're being productive, but what you're really doing is avoiding the hard part, the deep work, the one thing that actually matters. You can be endlessly busy and still go nowhere, because without focus, activity is just noise. So how do you reclaim your focus in a world built to steal it? Start small. Each day, identify the one thing, just one, that will make the biggest difference in your progress. Then guard it like sacred time. Turn off the noise, silence the pings, let the world wait. Give your full attention to that single task, that single goal, that single conversation. Because when you give something your full attention, it expands, it deepens, it transforms from ordinary effort into extraordinary impact. The human mind is powerful beyond measure, but it was never designed for fragmentation. It thrives in flow, in the deep, unbroken focus that turns work into art and time into mastery. Every time you fragment your attention, you dilute your potential. You start things you never finish. You leave pieces of yourself scattered in unfinished projects, unread books, unanswered messages, and those fragments add up. They drain your energy, cloud your clarity, and weaken your confidence. But when you commit to one direction, one purpose, you begin to reclaim those lost pieces. You gather yourself, you become whole again. And wholeness, that's where brilliance lives. Focus is not rigidity, it's devotion. It's the willingness to pour yourself fully into what you've chosen, and to trust that depth will bring the reward that distraction never could. Think about an artist working on a single painting for months. They aren't obsessed with doing everything, they're obsessed with doing this. And in that obsession, beauty is born. Your life is no different. When you focus deeply on what matters most, your purpose, your craft, your growth, your life becomes art. And here's something few understand. Focus is freedom. People think it's confinement, that narrowing your attention means losing options. But the truth is, focus liberates you. It frees you from the chaos of indecision, the weight of comparison, the noise of what if. When you're focused, your choices simplify, your path sharpens. You stop trying to do everything, and start doing what's essential, and that simplicity feels like peace. So let's be honest for a moment. What are you focusing on right now that doesn't deserve you? Whose approval are you chasing? What distractions are consuming your days and calling it progress? Because if your focus is scattered, your results will be too. The quality of your life depends on the quality of your attention, and your attention is the currency of your power. Reclaim it, reinvest it. Point it towards something that outlives you. When you focus your time, your energy, your talent on something meaningful, life begins to respond. Opportunities align, people appear, momentum builds, because the universe moves in the direction of your focus. And in that alignment, you'll discover something extraordinary. You don't need to chase everything. You only need to commit to one thing, fully, fearlessly, relentlessly. That's how movements are built. That's how legacies are born, and that's how one focused life can change the world. So as we move forward, remember this. Guard your time, yes, but even more importantly, aim it. Focus is what transforms protection into power, because when you finally give your full attention to what truly matters, you'll realize it was never about doing more, it was about becoming more. And in the next chapter, we'll explore how to do exactly that, how to channel your focus into mastery, to turn consistency into creation, and to build something that not only lasts, but inspires. Chapter 8. The Art of Mastery. Becoming the architect of your greatness. There's a moment in every creator's life, a quiet, almost invisible moment, when passion must evolve into precision. It's that instant when the thrill of beginning fades, and the weight of persistence takes its place. That's where mastery is born. Mastery isn't fireworks. It's not loud or glamorous. It's the steady hum of repetition, the quiet devotion to doing the same thing, not mindlessly, but meaningfully until the ordinary becomes art. It's where excellence stops being an act and starts becoming your nature. Most people never reach that place, not because they lack talent, but because they lose patience. They confuse speed with progress, effort with evolution. They want to leap, not climb, but mastery doesn't reward speed, it rewards presence. Every great musician, painter, athlete, or thinker you admire, they didn't simply do more, they became more through doing less. Deep, they entered the same room, the same canvas, the same stage again and again, and with each visit, they discovered another layer of themselves waiting to be revealed. That's the truth about mastery. It's not about what you conquer out there, it's about what you refine in here within yourself. You see, the pursuit of mastery is the quiet rebellion against mediocrity. It's the refusal to settle for good enough. It's the decision to trade the comfort of completion for the discomfort of constant improvement. And yet the journey isn't linear. There will be days when your effort feels invisible, when progress hides behind stillness, when the work begins to test your spirit more than your skill. But that's when mastery begins to whisper. It asks, will you keep showing up when no one's watching? Will you pour your heart into your craft when applause fades and results slow? Because that's the sacred space where transformation happens. To master something is to marry it, to give it time, devotion, and a piece of your soul. It's not about perfection, it's about intimacy, the kind that grows only through repetition and reverence. Think about a sculptor, chipping away at marble day after day. Each stroke seems small, insignificant even, but over time the form emerges, not because of one grand gesture, but because of thousands of tiny ones, guided by vision and patience. That's what mastery looks like, invisible progress that becomes undeniable over time. The world will always chase the shortcut, the overnight success, the instant result, the viral moment, but the people who build something timeless, they understand that mastery is the opposite of instant. It's the art of sustained devotion. It's giving your best even when no one claps. And make no mistake, mastery costs something. It demands humility, because to master something, you must first become its student, again and again. You must be willing to unlearn what you think you know, to start over even when you're skilled, to replace pride with curiosity. Humility is the hidden engine of mastery. Without it, your growth stalls at competence. With it, your potential becomes infinite. And here's the paradox. The closer you get to mastery, the more you realize how little you truly know. That realization doesn't weaken you, it deepens you, because mastery is not an endpoint. It's a horizon that keeps moving as you walk toward it. Every step forward reveals another mountain, another mystery, another layer of possibility. That's what keeps the greats hungry, not for success, but for discovery. So if you're listening to this and you feel impatient, if you're wondering why it's taking so long, remind yourself every master once stood where you are now. They too questioned the pace. They too doubted their progress. But they stayed in motion, slowly, intentionally, courageous, and one day they crossed an invisible threshold, not because something external changed, but because they changed. They became the person capable of doing what once felt impossible. That's the essence of mastery. Transformation through repetition. Every act of dedication reshapes you, every challenge chisels you, every setback refines you, and eventually, what was once effort becomes expression. You stop trying to do the thing, and start being the thing. It becomes a part of you, as natural as breathing. That's when you've crossed from practice into poetry. But let's make one thing clear. Mastery doesn't belong only to artists or athletes or entrepreneurs. It belongs to anyone who chooses depth over distraction. To the parent who listens deeply, to the leader who learns constantly, to the craftsman who still cares about every detail, to the human being who strives day after day to become a better version of themselves. Mastery is not about fame or recognition, it's about the quiet satisfaction of knowing you gave yourself fully to something worthy. It's about leaving behind a trail of integrity, a life lived with care, and in that process, you begin to see something remarkable. The path of mastery is the path of self-respect, because when you honor your potential enough to refine it, you tell the world and yourself that you are worth the effort. So how do you begin? Start with devotion, not the kind that burns bright for a week, but the kind that burns steady for years. Give your time not to everything but to something. Choose a pursuit that matters, then show up for it as if it's your sacred duty. Don't rush the process. Let the repetition become your teacher. Let the monotony become your meditation, because what feels like repetition is actually revelation, the gradual uncovering of your own genius. And when frustration comes, because it will, remember, frustration is a sign you're on the edge of growth. It's the tension between who you are and who you're becoming. Lean into it. It's the feeling of transformation in motion. Mastery isn't about reaching the summit, it's about falling in love with the climb. It's about waking up each day knowing that progress, however small, is sacred. Because mastery is not a destination, it's a way of being. And here's the most beautiful part. When you walk this path long enough, you begin to realize the mastery you sought in your craft was never just about skill. It was about character. It was about becoming the kind of person capable of creating something extraordinary. You thought you were shaping your work, but all along it was shaping you. And that is the real reward. As we move into the next chapter, we'll step beyond the art of mastery and into its deeper gift, the ability to share what you've become, to transform your mastery into meaning, to turn your personal growth into something that lifts the world. Because the final stage of mastery is not possession, it's contribution, and that is where true greatness begins. Chapter 9. The Power of Contribution, Turning Wealth into Worth. There comes a moment, a quiet, almost sacred realization, when you understand that success, by itself, is hollow. You can build the empire, you can fill the bank, you can master the craft, but if all that mastery ends with you, it begins to decay. True wealth isn't what you keep, it's what you give. There's a shift that happens when a person crosses from accumulation to contribution. It's subtle at first, like a whisper at the edge of your mind. You start to feel that what once felt fulfilling no longer satisfies. The victories, the profits, the praise, they start to echo differently. Because the soul knows something the ego forgets. You weren't built to collect, you were built to connect. You see, contribution is the ultimate currency. When you pour your time, your skill, your energy into lifting others, something powerful happens. You stop measuring life by what you get, and start measuring it by what you give away. And suddenly, time, the same time we've been talking about throughout this journey, becomes infinitely more valuable, because now it's not just about building wealth, it's about building worth. Let me tell you something true. No one remembers the person who took everything for themselves, but the world never forgets the one who gave back, the one who turned their success into significance, the one who realized that the highest use of time is service. There's a story I often think about. A young entrepreneur once told me, "I'll start giving when I have enough." He worked tirelessly, day and night, chasing that elusive moment when enough would finally arrive. But years passed, his business grew, his wealth expanded, yet the finish line kept moving. He never found his enough. Because here's the secret. Generosity isn't born from abundance. It's born from awareness. You don't start giving when you have enough. You realize you already have enough, and that's when giving begins. Contribution isn't about money. It's about energy. It's about the intention behind what you do. You can contribute through your words, your work, your kindness, your presence. Every interaction, every moment, is an opportunity to leave someone better than you found them. When you truly embrace this, time shifts again. You stop seeing it as something to spend or save, and start seeing it as something to invest. Each moment becomes a seed, not for your own gain, but for the growth of something greater. And like all seeds, what you plant multiplies. Think about it. A teacher invests time in a student, and decades later, that student changes lives. A mentor takes a moment to believe in someone, and that belief becomes the foundation for a dream realized. A stranger offers kindness, and it ripples through 100 unseen lives. Contribution is exponential. The smallest act, when done with sincerity, carries further than you'll ever see. And perhaps that's the beauty of it. When you give, you surrender control of the outcome, but you ignite infinite possibility. You trust that your effort will echo beyond your sight. That's the paradox of contribution. You give away your time, yet your life expands. You offer your energy, yet your spirit is renewed. You lose nothing, and gain everything that truly matters. We live in a world that worships accumulation of money, of things, of validation. But accumulation is finite. It fills rooms, not hearts. Contribution, on the other hand, is infinite. It fills lives, including your own. There's an old truth that still rings clear today. You can't take your wealth with you when you leave this world, but you can leave behind what your wealth created. You can leave a ripple, a legacy, a light that continues to shine long after your time is gone. That's the essence of legacy. It's not what you leave to people, it's what you leave in them. And that kind of legacy is built in the moments you choose to give, rather than take, to teach rather than withhold, to lift rather than climb alone. So if you've been building, if you've been striving, mastering, achieving, this is the moment to ask yourself, what am I building for? Who will benefit from my effort? How will I turn the wealth of my time into something that outlives me? Because contribution doesn't just change others, it transforms you. It breaks the illusion of separation. It reminds you that your story is part of a greater story, one written in shared humanity, not individual success. And here's the most profound part: when you begin to live this way, time no longer feels scarce. You stop fearing that you'll run out, because every minute you give meaning to, through service, through love, through generosity, becomes immortal. It outlives the clock. Your legacy isn't a statue or a headline, it's the invisible warmth someone feels because of something you did. It's the idea that continues to inspire after you're gone. It's the ripple that keeps moving long after you've stopped throwing stones. Contribution is the bridge between success and significance. It's the moment when personal growth becomes collective uplift. It's when your story stops being just about you and becomes about us. And when you reach that place, you begin to understand the true value of your time. Because time, when used in service of others, becomes sacred. It turns from minutes into meaning, from hours into healing, from effort into eternity. So as we move toward the final chapter of this journey, I want you to remember this. Time is not just money. It's impact. It's love made visible. And the richest people are not those who have the most, but those who give the most of themselves to the world. When you master your time, you master your life. But when you give your time to others, you master your legacy. And that is where true wealth begins. In the next and final chapter, we'll bring everything together, the lessons, the stories, the power of purpose, and explore how to live a life that is not just rich in time or money, but rich in meaning. Because the real question isn't how much time you have left, it's how much life you'll create with the time you have. Chapter 10. The final measure, living beyond the clock. There's a silence that arrives at the end of every journey. It's not empty, it's sacred. It's the sound of understanding settling in, of realization taking root. It's the stillness after the storm, when you finally see what all the movement was for. If you're hearing these words, it means you've walked through the hours, the habits, the choices, the reflections, and you've arrived here. At the threshold between knowing and becoming. At the moment where the idea of time stops being something you chase and becomes something you embody. From the beginning, this journey wasn't about managing your minutes, it was about remembering your meaning, because time, in its truest form, isn't measured in hours, it's measured in aliveness. You've learned that time is not your enemy, It's your greatest mirror. It shows you what matters. It reveals what you love. It reflects who you're becoming. So now, as we close this circle, I want to ask you a question that may stay with you for the rest of your life. How will you live when you finally realize that time has always been yours to shape? You see, most people never arrive at this point. They live reacting to life instead of creating it. They exist inside borrowed schedules, chasing borrowed dreams. They fill their calendars but starve their souls. But you've listened, you've paused, you've looked deeper, and in doing so you've started to reclaim the one thing that everyone talks about but few ever truly understand: presence. Presence is not just being here, it's feeling here. It's tasting the air, noticing the light, hearing the pulse of your own existence. It's understanding that every breath, every heartbeat, every second is a gift given only once, and that awareness transforms everything. When you begin to live from presence, you stop counting time and start creating it. A single moment of real connection with yourself, with someone you love, with the world, can hold more life than a decade of distraction. Because presence multiplies time, it stretches it, it deepens it. And that's the paradox of the clock. You can have less of it and live more fully than someone who has decades ahead. Because fulfillment doesn't live in the length of your life, it lives in the depth of your moments. Let's be honest, no one escapes the limits of time. The clock will keep ticking, whether you notice it or not. But mastery of life isn't about controlling time, it's about aligning with it. It's about knowing when to move and when to be still, when to build and when to breathe, when to plan the future and when to let the present be enough. You don't need more time, you need more awareness in the time you already have. That's where freedom lives, not in someday but in now. Every sunrise you wake to is an invitation to create meaning before the light fades again, to love harder, to listen deep, to give without keeping score. To live in such a way that when the final sunset comes, you'll be able to smile, not because you had endless time, but because you made the most of the time you had. Here's what most people forget: you're not running out of time, you're running into it. You're moving closer every day to the moments that are waiting for you. The connections you haven't made yet, the laughter you haven't shared, the purpose you haven't fully expressed. Life isn't a countdown, it's a becoming. And when you understand that, you stop fearing ending, because every ending is just another way of saying begin again. Every sunset leads to another dawn. Every goodbye holds the space for a new hello. Time isn't closing in on you, it's opening before you. So let's bring everything home. Time is not about productivity, it's about presence. It's not about managing life, it's about meeting life, fully, courageously, with your heart awake. The hours of your days are not tasks to complete, they're chances to create meaning. They're invitations to live with intention, compassion and courage. To tell the truth more often, to forgive faster, to say I love you before it's too late, to make memories that outlast the moment. And when you do that, when you begin to live as though each day is a masterpiece you're painting in real time, everything changes. You stop rushing through life and start inhabiting it. You stop chasing the next thing and start savoring the one you're already holding. You stop counting the minutes and start making the minutes count. So maybe that's the real message of this entire journey. You don't find meaning in time, you bring meaning to time, and that's what makes your life extraordinary. Not the number of years but the way you fill them. Not the milestones but the moments between them. Not the success you achieve, but the love you give while you're still here. One day, long from now, your time will reach its final chapter. And when it does, I hope you look back, not with regret but with quiet pride, because you'll know, truly know, that you didn't just spend your life, you lived it. You gave it texture, purpose and depth. You turned time into something timeless. And maybe, that's all any of us can really hope for. To leave behind, not just a record of our days, but a resonance. A vibration that says, I was here, I mattered, I made this moment count. So as you step beyond this final chapter, don't let these ideas fade into memory. Live them, breathe them. Let every sunrise remind you that today, this day is your opportunity to begin again. because time will keep moving, but you have the power to make every second sacred, and that is the real victory. Not in mastering the clock, but in mastering the art of being alive. This is where the journey ends, and where the true one begins. The rest is yours to write.